Hi everyone, welcome to Dear Love Talk, the program that gives you time and space for you to ask your questions and also for you to receive some straightforward answers. I'm James.
I'm Helena, and please ask anything. You can email us on questions@lovetalkshow.tv.
So let's go for the first question. It says, "Hi James, I've been married to my husband for 6 years and I sometimes feel like I still don't know him. He doesn't open up to me, doesn't talk much. Sometimes it's as if I'm the only one talking. How do I get him to open up?" Well, I think it's good that I'm going to answer this question first because I'm going to give you the man perspective. You know, here's the thing. Naturally, this is not a rule of thumb, but usually women do tend to talk more, not in the sense of in a negative way, right, Lena? But women like to have conversations, to talk about different things. And to prove this, I'm going to rewind to when we used to date. So here's the thing. And Elena and I, when we were dating, we would go and eat out and have lunch. And if I was a little bit quiet, Elena would say...
Very quiet, very quiet.
Very quiet. Elena would say, "So what's up? What's happening with you? Tell me about your day, your week." And the moment that she would ask me that is like she would press a button and would make me say, "I'm not going to talk." And one of the worst things that you can do to a man is to say, "Let's have a conversation, we need to talk." When you say we need to talk, men hear there's a problem.
Listen, I don't have a scientific answer for you because I'm not a scientist, but I tell you something, I hear that from most women who come to us. "My man doesn't talk, what do I do?" Maybe you're talking too much because you were saying, I was reading your question and you said, sometimes it's as if I'm the only one talking. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you talk too much too often, or you want to talk when it's not really a good time to talk.
That's a good point.
So I've come to learn, to realize after 14 years of marriage.
It took us 14 years, but we got there.
Not yet, I'm getting there, I haven't gotten there yet. To understand that any little thing you may say, if you say it in a different way or a tone of voice, you sound like you are trying to ask too much or boss, or, they don't want to talk, And I've come to realize that you just have to, respect.
That's the word, yeah.
You have to respect who they are because they are not like us.
That's an important thing, respect, yes. Because if your husband, for example, he naturally doesn't talk, as much as you do, and perhaps he can talk, we know he can talk about football for hours. We know that. That you don't need to tell us that. But the thing is, when it comes to conversations about the relationship and so on, let him listen to what you have to say, and perhaps you will expect him to say a lot after you've finished, and maybe he will say only a few words. But cherish those few words. And I tell you that with time, it gets better, right? He understands the need to open up more, but don't try to force things. I think the key thing is the more you force things, the worse it gets.
Yeah, just respect who he is. He's a man. They are not like us, okay? They are not like us.
That's why we are men.
Not like us. Yes, I remember on our first dates, I used to think, does he really want to be on the date with me or something?
I did.
But I've come to understand that it was his way of enjoying himself. So what can you say? I mean, now I know him a lot better, and I like the way he is. And actually, it brought a balance to our relationship. I talk less, and he talks a little bit more than he used to, so we are quite happy. And the next question is, I am at a huge crossroads in my relationship. We had a really good marriage, but I recently found out he cheated on me. He keeps asking me to forgive him and give him another chance, but I don't know if I can. Can people truly forgive and move on? Well, I tell you something, from what we've experienced, like couples that we've been talking to and helping, not everyone can, we advise everyone to forgive because forgiveness does you good.
And it doesn't mean that forgiving means you stay in the marriage.
Yes, or that you are the weakest one because you forgave. No, forgiveness is about you, how you feel, and for you to move on or stay in that relationship. But this is something that only you, if I were you, I wouldn't base your decision on what other people usually do or if they usually overcome. It's up to you. What do you want to do? Do you want to fight for that relationship? I mean, this is something that only you can decide, and I advise everyone at home who's going through that not to make a decision, while you are still angry.
Yeah. And there's a few different factors that you have to consider. For example, I think whether the relationship can work or not, it depends on a few things. Has this person stopped that kind of behavior? Because if this person is asking you to forgive him and he hasn't quit this kind of behavior, then there's no chance for this relationship to work, right? So forgiving is a separate matter to whether the relationship can work or not. You have to forgive, as Elena said, for your sake, but whether the relationship can work or not, it depends if you think you can trust this person again, if this person has come clean and said, look, I don't want to do this again. And if these things don't happen, then no, the relationship can't work. Now, if the relationship can work, because this person said, I want to change, I regret what I did, then there is still a lot of work to do. Trust takes time to rebuild trust.
Yes.
It's like a wound. Even if the wound closes and heals, there will be a scar. It needs time to heal. So yes, the relationship can still work, but it depends on whether this person has decided to stop, if they've come clean, and if you think you want to give this person another chance.
But something that you need to do, and you need to know actually, is if you decide to fight for that marriage, you cannot bring up the past. It's like this, you've got to have a very serious conversation, first of all, when you are ready. And you have to set the terms. You have to say, listen, this is how it's going to be. And he has to follow, agree, because he was the one who broke that vow, that sacred vow called marriage and trust. So you have to agree that, he needs to understand that it's not going to be easy for you to trust him again. And there might be moments where you feel insecure, and he can't argue with you. You'll have to be patient.
Absolutely.
So you cannot look back if you decide to fight for your marriage.
Let's go for the final question. And just reminding you, should you want to send us your question, no matter how complicated it may seem, you can always send us an email to questions@lovetalkshow.tv, or you can visit our website, lovetalkshow.tv, or you can visit us on Facebook as well. So the next question is from Jennifer in Finchley, and she says, I've been dating someone for a while, and we have very different levels of education. I have a successful career in banking, and he's a builder. We get on really well, but I often comment that this will cause, or get comments that this will cause future problems. Is this true? Does that trivialize love? It doesn't trivialize love. I think actually people should take sometimes a more pragmatic view of love in relationships. Because let me be very honest with you. I think when there's a huge difference in careers, in education, for example, usually men tend to have a problem with that because, a man feels sometimes insecure because, his partner makes more money or has more education. He shouldn't feel insecure. But the reality, let's put how things should be to one side and let's talk about how things are. And I know this view may not be popular with all our viewers, but let's talk about reality and what we've seen. It does cause problems sometimes. There are exceptions to this rule, but sometimes it does cause problems. And I think you have to see before you, I don't know at what stage this relationship is, but you need to see if you are going to be able and if your partner will be able to live with this in the future. There's the thing of how much do you have in common in terms of talking about your relationship or about your careers when you come home.
I think that both have to be compatible. You've got to be compatible, and if you are not, it's not going to work. Now put yourself in his shoes, because men, let's be honest, men, they are different from women. They need this thing about, they need to feel like they provide, that they can help, that they can adapt to what, the wife already has, to the home. They feel that, that thing, even though nowadays everyone helps and everyone has a job and works and chips in, You know, for a man, this doesn't change, even though we are in 2015.
Yeah.
So, you know, imagine if you were the one who couldn't read, or you know, you didn't have a very good job, like you know, you do something really basic, and he's a diplomat or someone like, you know, how would you feel? It would, maybe you would say, oh, but I love him and that's all I need. But when you see him hanging around with business women, very, you know, dressed that way with the, you know, briefcases and everything, like, oh, traveling around because of work, you're going to feel insecure because you're going to feel like you don't belong.
And I know that in Disney movies, right, it's great. The prince and Cinderella, who comes from this very humble background, it's amazing.
But the thing is, we don't get to see the after, do we?
Yeah, it says happily ever after,
Wow.
but we don't know if it is. Now, here's the thing. It may very well be that this relationship could work. I mean, you know, sometimes it does. Usually, it tends to become a problem later. And you don't have to think that this trivializes love or it makes you shallow. You just have to see. If you feel that he has this completely different career than you have and completely different level of education than you have, and you can still have exciting conversations about different topics, this is very important. If that's the case, then by all means. But don't be afraid to make a decision because people will say that you are shallow, or because you didn't think about love, you thought about careers. Because a career is part of a long-term relationship. A career is part of how things develop later on in
I would
life.
even quickly say that it would be interesting for you to actually speak to him about that. Listen, do you feel this way? No, because you're so much in love, like, you know, the first few days, weeks. You've got to be sure. You've got to actually talk about this straight to the point.
Absolutely, and let Cinderella and Prince Charming stay in the Disney movies. Here, we're living a very different reality. So, like we said, we know that this answer may not be very popular with everyone, but this is the reality that we see
what we've seen.
when we speak to couples. So we hope that this has helped, and we will be back next week again, even if people don't always agree with our answers, but this, again, is based on experience, and we do hope that this helps.
Yes.
Okay? Until next time, have a
Bye.
wonderful day. Bye-bye.